Hi Frontend Navigator, welcome to the CSS Responsive course. In this course, you are going to learn what responsive design is, why responsive design is so important, and how to create responsive design which fits on every device size. So first, what is responsive design? Responsive design simply means creating websites or application which fits on every screen sizes. So the big question right here is, why is it so important? At first, when mobile phones wasn't popular, people uses laptops and their desktop and bigger computers to access your website and applications. As technology began advancing, they introduced mobile phones and other mini technologies like smartwatches. So this is where responsive design comes. When creating your website, you don't only target people on desktop and laptops and other bigger screens, but also you try to target people on smaller screens like your mobile phone or a smartwatch. This way your application will look nice regardless of the person's screen. So in this course, you are going to learn how to create designs which will fit on every screen, whether the person is using a desktop, a laptop, or a mobile screen. I'll teach you how to create design that will fit on every screen and also look nice regardless of the person's screen. So it's coming up. So I just opened my VS Code and I've created my two files. I have my index.html file and my style.css file. In my index.html file, I've just linked the CSS file over here and nothing really going on. So what I want to do now is collapse this. Then I can click on go live to run my server. So make sure you have the live server running. So once you open your file, so this is my file open. So now I can just minimize, don't close, just minimize. And now we can come and start designing. So first, what I need is a container that will wrap everything. So I can have a div, then if I put period, and then I can call it container. So this is my container. Now press enter. And inside here, we can have our container items. So if I write div, then if I write period, and then I'll give it a class of items. Now check what will happen if I put an asterisk, then I'll write something like 4. So it means create a div with a class item, and I need 4 of those divs. So if I press enter, I'll have 4 of them over here with a class of item. So this is my container. So now I can go, then I'll come to the CSS file. So the first rule we are going to tackle is to use the asterisk, and then we'll try to change everything, the box sizing. So we are going to change the box sizing to border box. So if you don't do this, you are going to be having some overflows and some deterioration in your designs. So always make sure this is the first rule you write when you are creating any application or websites. I can grab my container. So this is my container class. So class. And then I can give it a width. So let's just give it a width of 800 pixels. And then I can give it a height. So a height. So the height, let's just leave it automatic. Let's just give it a pattern too. So we need a pattern. So for the top and down, the top and the bottom should be 50 pixels. For the sides, that's the left and right, 20 pixels. So I can give it a border radius. So a border radius of 20 pixels. Then I can give it a background color of maybe, let's go with a lighter color. So F1, F1, F1. So now hopefully if I open my browser and then I come, we'll have this over here. So this is our container. So the next thing we are going to target is the items. So I'll target the items. Is it item or items? So if I go, okay, it's item. So I can come, then I can target my item. So I can give each of them a width. For example, I can give them a width of 100 pixels. Then I can give them a height of something like 50 pixels and a border radius. So a border radius of 20 pixels. So let's just increase the height. So for the height, I'll increase it to something like 200 pixels. And then here I'll give them a background color of just pure white. So pure white. So FFF. So this is white. Now if I open, we'll have these boxes over here. So now what we can do is start explaining the flex. So the flex is used to arrange the items. So what do I mean? If I go to my container over here, and then I can set the display to flex. So once I set it to flex, then I open, automatically we'll have this displayed in the form of a row. So we can choose to make it a column too. So if I come and then I'll give it a flex direction. So flex direction by default is row. So we have row, row reverse, column reverse, and we have column. So if I choose column, it will come in the form of a stack, just like it was displayed before. But the flex have more advantage when it comes to changing the directions. So I can just make it a row. So we are going to use the row. So I'll select row. And then if I come, we'll have our flex displayed in the form of a row. So the first thing I want to discuss is the flex gap. So what is a flex gap? So if I come and then I write gap, then I can write something like 20 pixels. So 20 pixels. So this means that we should have a gap of 20 pixels between each item. So if you check, we have spaces between the items. So I can increase it to 40 pixels. So 40 pixels. So now hopefully if I come, we'll have 40 pixel spaces between each item. But what will happen if I come over here? Then let me increase the items. So let me duplicate them. Let me just duplicate them again. So I'll duplicate. I want to have as many items as I can. So I'll duplicate. And now if you check, it is trying to shrink those items to fit the flex container. The more I increase the items, the more they try to fit the container over here. So this can deteriorate your design. For example, if you have images and you want them to stretch, meanwhile it is trying to fit them over here. So this is where the flex wrap comes in handy. So if I come, then I can have a flex wrap, and then I can set it equals to wrap. So now hopefully if I come, you see that it will try to bring it down if it doesn't fit the screen. So it will try to fit them to the screen. And once it gets to the last of the screen, then if there's no room for the item, it will simply bring the item down. This is how to use the flex wrap to create responsiveness. So next we have the justify. So what is the justify? So if I come, then I remove the items. So let me remove items and let me just leave them 4. So I need 4 items. So these are the 4 items I need. So if I come and then I write my justify, so justify content. So justify items. So select justify items. Then we'll have this. We have baseline, center, end, flex end, and flex start. So I'm going to discuss the flex start end. Then we are going to discuss the center over here. So by default, your content is justified to the flex start. So justify is more like an alignment to the opposite axis. I can make the item start from here, or I can bring them to the center, or I can bring them over here. For example, by default, it is justified to the flex start. So if I write flex start and then I open, nothing will happen over here. But if I bring them to the center, so let's have our center. So I'll select center. So now hopefully if I come, so if we check, nothing is really happening over here because I cannot even use the properties justify content, not items. So justify content. So now if you check, it will bring them to the center over here. So let's go with the flex start. So flex start. So flex start means start from the beginning, and we have the flex end. So flex end means send them to the end. So send them to the end over here. So another value you can use over here is space between. So I can write space between, space around, space evenly. So first let's discuss the space around. So I can select the space around. Then if I come, so it will try to evenly distribute the spaces to each item over here. So I can change them to space between. So space between. If I come with the space between, it will try to give a lot of spaces between each item instead of dividing the spaces for each item. So watch what I'm saying. So if I come over here, then I have 2 items. So now I'm having 2 items. So if I come, then you check that it will push this item to start from here and this item to start from here. You can use this to create a simple nav bar where you have the company logo here. Then you can use flex and space between so that you have the logo here then you have your links over here. So I can go back, then I can put back my items, then I can come, then I can change this to center. So let's just go with the center for now. So next we have the alignment. So I can have align items. So align items. So it's just like it works just like I'll justify over here. So by default, it is at the flex start. So if I come, it will start on top over here. So watch what will happen if I grab my container. So this is the container. If I give it a height, so let's give it a height, let's increase it. So maybe 900 pixels. So now if I come, it will stretch it. So I think 900 pixels is too much. So let's just make it 800 pixels. So if we come, we'll have our container over here. So what I can do, simply come and change the align items to center. So if I bring it to center, so now it will try to bring the content to the center of the screen. So it will try to bring the content to the center of the whole container. So this comes in handy when you are creating a login form where you want the login form to simply come to the center of the screen. You can simply make the whole container flex, then you justify it center, then you align it center. So alignment works vertically and the justify works horizontally. For example, if I come, let's just make the height maybe 100 viewport height so that it will just fit the whole screen. So if I come, I'll not have the scroll, so that I'll just have this. So watch what will happen if I change my align items to flex end. So flex end. So now hopefully if I come to bring it to the end over here. So this is how alignment works horizontally, vertically, and we have the justify working horizontally when it comes to row items. So now I can open over here and we are going to discuss some important properties. First is the flex grow. So the flex grow property specify how much a flex item will grow relative to the rest of the flex items inside the same container. If all items have a flex grow set to 1, they will take up equal space. If one item has a larger flex grow value, it will take up more space. So what do I mean? So if I come, so these are the items. So what I can do is simply come over here. Then I'll have something like first. Then I'll have something like second. Then I'll have my third. And then can I spell third? Oh my god, so third. And then over here, I'll have the last element. So first, second, third, and last. So I've added some class names. So what I can do is simply come over here. And then I can simply remove their width. Let me remove the width over here for each item. If we come, we are not going to see anything. So I can come, then I'll grab the item. So I can come for the items. I can have a flex grow. So flex grow, then I'll set it equals to 1. Now hopefully if we come, we'll have our items back and are trying to grow to stretch to fit the whole box over here, which is the container. So what I can do is simply come over here. Then I'll grab my first item. Can I grab my first item? So first, then I can give it a flex grow. So flex grow. So what will happen if I increase the value to something like maybe 4? So for the first one, I've increased it to 4. Now if you check, it has stretched that one and it has what? Decreased these ones over here. So this is how the flex grow work. So I can have for the last. So for the last, then I'll try to I can give it a flex grow. So flex grow of 4. So now hopefully if I come to stretch that one too, and then it will shrink these over here. So this is how the flex grow works. And next we have the flex shrink. The flex shrink property determines how much a flex item will shrink relative to the rest of the flex items when the flex container is too small. If all items have flex shrink set to 1, they will shrink equally. If one item has a larger flex shrink value, it will shrink more. So let me remove the wrap. So this is the flex wrap. So let me remove the wrap. So what I've just did is I've just deleted every code down. Then I have my item over here. Then I've just left it to the flex grow over here. So now if we come, Yes, I have our first, second, third, and the last item. So now if we come, I can have a flex basis. So flex basis. So this is just simply the width of the items by default. So by default, I can just say that, okay, by default, every item should be 300 pixels. And another thing I've also did is I've changed the width over here from 800 to 100%. So make sure our width is 100%. So now we are going to explain the flex shrink. So I can have a flex shrink. So flex shrink. So by default they are 1. So I'll put 1. So now if I come, we'll have the items stretched over here. So now what I can do is simply grab the first item. So first item. Then I can set the flex shrink. So flex shrink. So I can increase it to 4. So now watch, if I come, nothing is happening. So if I start decreasing, then you realize that it has decreased the box. So this is the box. So it will continue decreasing it till there's no box over there. I can change it to, so let's just make it 2. So now if I come, we'll have it. So it will shrink the items, but it will be shrinking this more than this over here. So I can shrink these 2. So I can change this to 2 times, and then I can change this to 3. So now if I come to shrink all of them, but this is looking obvious because this over here, the number is bigger than those. So let's just make it 2 and 1. So this is how to use the flex shrink and the flex basis. The flex shrink is simply to shrink the item when there is no space, and the flex basis over here is the default width of the items. So next up, we are going to look at how to lay out a responsive website with Flexboxes. Are you excited? So let's get onto it. So I'll come over here. So this is the container, right? I'll remove the whole container, and then I can have another container over here. So let's just call it container again. And inside the container, I can have a side bar, so a side, no side content, and the main content. So side content, then inside of my side content, I can have an H2, which I'll just call side content. And then down here, I have a paragraph of lorem text, so lorem. So this is the side content. So I can have a div with a class of main content, so main content, and I'll press enter. And inside of my main content, I can simply have an H2 over here. Then I can write main content. And down here, I can have a paragraph. Then I'll just write some lorem text over here. I can copy the paragraph of the main content. So I can copy it, then paste it, then I'll paste it again. Now, if we open, we'll have the side and the main content over here. Because this is the, so let's remove the first and this item. Let's remove the item. So now let's put the wrap back. So now we have the width 100%, the height should be this. This is the pattern. So now if I open, then we'll have this over here. So let's start styling. So I can grab, then I'll grab my side content, so side content, and then I'll grab the main content. So I want to apply this style to both of them. So main content, for each of them, I want their background color to be white, just pure white. So FFF. So sorry, FFF again. So sorry, there should be 6. So 6 of them. Then I want to have a border radius of 20 pixels and a pattern of 20 pixels to both of them. If I come, I'll have the side content, then I'll have my main content over here. So now I can go over here. So we have our flex wrap over here. Then we have the gap over here. So first, let me remove the justify and the align. So now if we open, then we'll have them over here. So now what I can do is to give each of them a flex basis and a flex group. So what I want to do is to divide them over here. So I want to divide them. So I can come over here, then I'll have a flex basis for the side content. So side content. So side content, then I can have a flex basis, and the flex basis should be something like maybe 250 pixels. so 250 pixels, so we'll have it shrink over here. And for the content, so that's the main content, so main content over here, I'll have a flex basis, so flex basis of maybe, let's go with 400 pixels, 400 pixels. So we'll have the main content over here. Or I can also choose to do some calculations over here. So I can have a calculator. So now if we check, there's a space over here and the gap is 40 pixels and the width of the side over here is 250 pixels. So to do the calculations right, for this, for the content, by default, we have the width 250 and we have a gap of 40 pixels. So if I come, so this is 250, from here to here is 250, then we have 40 pixels gap. So to do the calculations, I'll say that, okay, take the person's screen, 100% of the screen, then you minus the 250 plus the 40 pixels. So 250 plus 40 will be 290 pixels. So this, if we come, we'll have our main content over here. Then we'll have the side content over here. But if we shrink, then we continue shrinking, then we are going to have this. So now we want to make it responsive. So if the person is on smaller screen, then we'll bring this main content down. So how do we achieve that? So I can come over here, then I can go up. So this is the container. Then I can remove the height. So I can just make it a minimal height instead of height. To create a responsive website, we need to use the media query. So I'll put an @ sign, then you write media, then you open, then you write max width, so max width, then I'll put column. So if I write something like maybe 800 pixels, then I'll come over here. So it means if the person's maximum width is 800 pixels, so if the person's screen is below 800 pixels, I would simply grab the content. So I'll simply grab the side content. Then I can say something like the flex basis. So flex basis should be 100%. So 100%. So sorry. Let me change this to flex basis. So flex basis should be 100%. And then for the size, so for the main content, so main content to. So I'm going to apply this for both of them. So I'll put comma, then I'll have the main content. It means if the person's screen maximum width is 800 pixels, that is 800 pixels and below, then change the flex basis to 100% so that it will stretch and fit the whole screen. Now if I come, we'll have this. If I increase, we'll have this. So this is how to create a simple responsive design. So we have the side content, we have the main content. And if the person is reducing the screen, and if we get to 800 pixels and below, then it will bring the main content down over here to get this nice result.